All right, thank you very much. Actually, everybody's begun listening to this tape and this workshop, and the workshop is all about reading auras and being able to have a way to be able to have an early detection of conditions that we have of the body. And I'm doing what I can right now as you're listening to this tape, and you're now participating in this workshop. That's all to do with auric reading, and it's to do with the scientific validation of auric reading. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because there's such an interest in persons being able to use auric reading amongst other ways also to be able to get an idea of what's going on within the body long before something physical has occurred, something energetic has occurred. Can we understand the importance of what I just said just then? Long before something physical actually changes, there's an energetic change that can easily be observed. Now, we have cells, and those cells have membranes, but when material can have come on the inside of the cell which shouldn't be, it has an electrical energy itself, and its electrical energy can be spilling and going beyond the membrane of the cell. And its energy field that goes beyond the membrane of a cell has a plasma membrane itself. It actually has an electrical surface area. So, for instance, with a magnet or anything electric, there's a field, and you could slowly bring a meter, and all of a sudden you could come within the field of a strength enough to sense that you're within the field of this magnet. When we bring in foods and things which we were not meant to do, food ended up getting deposited, new toxic compounds under just all protein and food like that ended up getting lodged in between cells of the body and inside the cell membrane, inside the interior of the cell, and this material itself has an electrical field, because everything around us is electric, and that electric field has a membrane, and electric fields also have membranes, and that's why, like you can see ball lightning, there's a membrane, an electrical membrane like a bubble in the ether. You know, that's what ball lightning is. Electricity and light is like water and behaves like water and is like water. We can have a physical substrate material, and if you put a magnet next to that substrate material, the unseen electromagnetic force of that magnet can pass right through your body. Yes? We can influence iron filings above a table, where if you have a magnet, you could put the magnet underneath the table, and you can put iron filings on the top of the table, and wherever you move the magnet, all the iron filings are going to follow. But there's nothing seemingly physical that we could see that's connecting the magnet to the iron filings, but no matter where you take the magnet underneath the table, it's going to be causing the iron filings to travel along with it, isn't it? And not only that, but it's so amazing that when you have the magnet underneath the table, when you look on top, there's a nice pattern. And actually, even though you move the magnet over here, it's sort of still got that swirly, nice sort of pattern. It's like, well, wow, there's something so solid, matter of fact, it's actually connected so solidly to the iron filings from the magnet. It's like, whoa, that's amazing. Something invisible is so solid that it's passing right through the wood, and it's pulling the iron filings. And I want you to know, please, imagine for a moment the value of what I'm sharing with you, that you can have a visual picture of what's occurring where you have cells of your body and you have phosphate molecules from cows, which they have to need those big phosphate molecules because they've got to grow big hooves, you know, and that milk needs a lot of phosphorus because you need big hooves and horns, you know what I mean, and a big coat. And you need a lot of phosphorus to grow a big coat and big hooves. But human beings don't have big hooves. We don't have toenails like that. But if we did, we'd need a lot more phosphorus. If we had big bones and big horns, you know, you need more phosphorus. You need them to say, Mum, please produce more phosphorus for me because I need big, thick toenails, thank you very much. You know, to clop along in the field. But the fact of the matter is that nature did not design that milk for a human being. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. And it's really not right that another panelist would continue to have talked about milk after it was said that it does not have the right ratio of calcium to phosphorus. And then just saying that somebody no longer sort of maybe had the bellyache they used to, but when they lived, you know, an old age apparently. But see, this is not, that's not anything by itself. It's sort of not scientific. It's not. When we eat foods which has the strange undigestible material and things in it, it does come in. It is like sand in your camera. Everybody knows that you don't take your camera to the beach, or if you do, you've got to be careful with your camera, don't you? Because you don't want to put it anywhere around the sand. And if somebody said, it's okay, sand can get in there, we've got this to get it out, most of us are going, no, I'm not putting my camera near the sand. No, I know you've got that thing, but no. Why? Because you know that no matter how much you could do to get that sand out of the camera, if you've got sand in your camera, you are never, ever, 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 no matter what you do, you're never going to get the sand out of the camera, ever, ever. You won't do it. You can't. Once the sand goes into the camera, you can't really get it out, okay? All right. So, now, when we bring in those strange undigestible proteins and things, that does tattoo our body. Is it amazing to you that actually someone can have a tattoo and your body cells can have come and gone apparently, but the tattoo remained exactly as it was, exactly the position? That's incredible, isn't it? How could it be that our cells came and went fully, completely, utterly, but the tattoo remained exactly in the position it was put? Is that strange to you?
Yeah, very.
Have you? Yes. Isn't it? Isn't it? Because somebody gets a tattoo, right, and years 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 pass by, and the cells of their body have come and gone well and truly. That's completely brand new, but the tattoo has remained. Did you know Twinkies is like that? Twinkies bars? Yeah. Cornflakes, corn, potato is like that. Yes, it is. Beans are like that. It doesn't matter that they were sprouted or not. It doesn't. It's dead food. It's non-life food. So when you would have brought in dead non-life food, which most everybody on the earth just about has, haven't they? Just about. I mean, what? There's nobody devoid of that today. And we're the sickest type of race of species of life on the earth, except for the banana. The banana's the sickest. You know, and that's the most popular fruit. And the second most sickest plant is wheat. That's the second, I mean, that's the largest vegetable that apparently is eaten is wheat. And then the animal food, that's the drug that kills more people than any other drug, is dairy. There's 222,000 premature deaths every 2 months in the United States related to having eaten dairy and cooked grains. So when we eat those foods, It does tattoo the body. Just because the cell and the table seems to have remained the same, but you could see the evidence, and you can see, and we're going to start to get into this now, but you can see the evidence of dis-ease long before actual cellular structure changes. Is this interesting?
Yeah.
Did you know that mammographs and all kinds of CAT scans and all kinds of other ways of going about sort of like electrically looking at what's the interior of the body is not as accurate as a human being? Did you know that? Did you know that human beings are more accurate in the world for knowing what's below the earth than any calibrated piece of equipment? How could that be? How can someone a person trained could look at you in an instant and know exactly where inflammation is in your body? How could they tell that? And how could somebody who has this insight be able to just look at you and see in your aura what needs to be adjusted and fixed before you need a medical diagnosis could? Medical diagnoses often cannot see any of that because the reason why they cannot see it until it's too late. Yes. Most of these medical diagnostic techniques and things can only see things when it's too late. Why? Because they're looking for tissue morphological change on a physical level that is calibrated to their equipment. But your and my eyes is calibrated to a level that can detect dis-ease, disruption to the ease we ordinarily feel, with a simple glance. I could see you, and just in 5 minutes of having sat with you, I could write something for 8 hours, solid, about what I observed and picked up from you, about your physical condition, about everything. And I could write for 8 hours. There'd be that much information downloaded in that 5 minutes. And it would take me about 8 hours to write it. When you see a picture, it could take 10,000 words, right? Over and over and over again to actually paint the picture that occurred. But in thousandths of a second, you could have seen something which is equivalent to 10,000 words. You could have seen something, honest to God, and it's not equivalent to 10,000 words. It could take you more, and you could never completely come up with what you saw, perhaps accurately, maybe, in a second. In a visual second, you and I, we can pick up such an enormous amount of information. And we can pick up information long before information, that energy can have caused a physiological change to occur in the body. Are you understanding? Are you following? What's a question that we have, or someone has, at this point where we are? Peggy?
So basically your cells radiate to your distillate?
Our cells radiate to...
Outward to your aura?
Our cells are radiating an energy outward, yes they are, and this auric energy can be read utterly, easily. And the idea that we, other than you are intuitively, whether you're aware of it or not, you may as well become more conscious of what this is that you're reading actually, and become more solidly aware and connected to the very things that you're reading, where we can see things, but we are not expressing verbally, orally, or consciously the things that we observe. And at an early age we can have witnessed things which as adults now we no longer necessarily are commenting on, you see. But all of us have the capacity, unbelievably, much more finer than lots of other ways of going about doing anything to observe and see and read auras. Does that make you feel like, I think I can do this? Yeah? So you can. Every person here, you are a medicine person. Lots of medicine women and medicine men here. And without you having come to me today, you do have the capacity and have been, whether you're aware of it or not, using this skill which I'm going to be describing. Because many times you had an intuitive hunch and a feeling about things and you were caused to comment about something, and it was because you actually have picked up something visually. And though I might not consciously describe that in my awareness, it did cause me unconsciously to pursue some education or pursue some care. You yourself have sometimes looked in the mirror and said, oh gee, oops, wait a minute, I need to, and that in and of itself is something, because you could see what is really you and sometimes which is less than. Questions to do with where we are at the moment?
You're always taking in sensory information and distorting, deleting, and filtering it to fit into your own reality, for your own.
Yes, we are.
Can we open that up so that we can read more intuitively?
Yes.
You're going to be bombarded with sensory information like that?
Okay, so the question is to do with we process information, you know, in various sensory modalities, and if we've sort of absorbed more, and this is coming in, can that be doing something to cause us less than to have awareness of other things that we'd be so up? Yes, because the only awareness that we should have is actually the awareness that we can be rested simply to be opened up to the person in front, and then not and be just have a trusting to forget where you live and to forget sort of the circumstance of the day, just to completely forget completely, because as you forget and as we have affection, as you have affection and as you are feeling affectionate toward the persons that you're connecting with, then you have your body eye open. So we're going to get into this more in a second here. But the question is to do with, is it possible for us to be able to remain in this state of affection and remain in a state that's in uptime to be able to observe sensory phenomena? You have to be able to be in uptime to observe sensory phenomena. If you're thinking about, oh, this or that or something other, then what the question is really to do with, if you've got thinking going on inside, then it's going to compete for stuff happening on the outside. Yes. So the idea, the question, the brilliance of the question, last question, is to do with quietening self down so there is no internal chatter and activity, to be able to be more able to have a external orientation and an external referencing. Okay? Okay, so far we have said that there's an energy that we have. We've been describing this, we've been sort of saying that this energy goes beyond the physical substrate, and when it's not, when that energy is spilling over the physical substrate of the cell itself, it can have done that for some time, and eventually that starts to influence what forms there. So visually, see in the air in front of you cells, the shape of cells, you know. We see these cells here, and now we have toast and spaghetti there, and toast and spaghetti there, and toast and spaghetti has found its way between the cells, which it shouldn't be, and we have methylated mercury which found its way into the cell, and we have excess calcium inside the cell and other things. It's sort of not functioning so well because its membrane hasn't been working, And now we've got material in there and around it which is foreign. It's foreign. It's like sand in the camera. When you have that material that's foreign present there, you have an energy which is spilling over its electrical sheathing beyond the cell membranes that's meant to be there. Are you following this? Did you know please keep in your mind, every single thing around us is electromagnetic energy. Every single thing is electric. There's no such thing as it not being. Your skin is electrons. You know, water that's been expressed as skin as electrons, primarily. Every single thing around us is electric, and why is it such that even though lead doesn't seem to have any electricity, right? But if you bring lead next to a hive, all the bees are going to end up on the other side of the hive. They don't want to be on the side of the hive where lead is next to them. Everything is spilling an unseen energy and force beyond itself. When we bring things in, what we've said up to this point is that energy shifts and other than remains as it should, and that energy shifts and changes long before the physical substrate of the cell becomes breached. So far that's what we've said. Is everybody following this? Yes? The meaning of this is that I could look at a cell and see that the cell is... do I stop just for a second?
Oh, no, it's cool.
Okay. We could look at the cell, we can see the cells, and the cells remain there, and they might not look necessarily healthy, but the cells are remaining there. But if we look down on this level that I'm asking you to look down, we would see debris, calcium phosphate deposit, from milk, from grains, from beans, from lentils, from flesh, from chickens, from milk. Did you know it's calcium phosphate that doubles every 3 years of your life in your body, and eventually you're going to become real stiff and solid and not able to move? And did you know that concreteness, that solid concreteness that occurs to your body is like wallboard plaster, and it is wallboard plaster? Did you know that in people who drink alcohol and things, we often find actually wallboard plaster in their liver? It's the same as wallboard plaster. There's no difference. Yeah, calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. Calcium phosphate deposit ends up in the body. Little organisms fashion for themselves a coat, and they're like a cow themselves. They are. They've got horns and hooves. You know, they look like little dinosaurs. If you had a microscope, you could look down and see them. They've got big hooves and enormous amount of material that they need to actually muscle their way through and crawl through your brain and crawl through all of your cells of your body, wriggle their way through everything and destroy the whole body. And how they begin? They begin by drinking cow's milk, innocuously, doing oats and grains as the people above on the panel were recommending, sprouting them, beans and grains, sprouting them like the other panelists were recommending. Silent inflammation is because of calcium phosphate build up in the body, and calcium phosphate affects your heart, your eyes, your brain, your reproductive system, your digestive tract, your joints, your muscles, your skin, your connective tissue, your immune system. When you no longer have the minerals that run your electrics, which can easily be observed visually, you other than have proper light coming out of your body and light coming out of your eyes and light coming out of your auric, there's not as much light, and there's a great qualitative difference in the amount of light that you emit, and that is measurable. Actually, it's the first time that I do know, I think there's someone in the show that's actually got talking about biophotons. This is the first time. And I said to everybody years ago, hey, one day somebody's going to be here, they're going to have a little instrument now to measure biophotonic activity. And I've been saying it. Did you know this is the first year somebody has an instrument? And it's the first time in America they've got an instrument for measuring biophotonic activity. My work was the very first work of its kind, educating people about biophotonic nature of blood and the biophotonic nature of food, and for quite some time I've been talking about this, and it's so amazing that, of course, this is the year that we actually have the first piece of equipment that's about this. But you and I, our eyes detect biophotons. Yours and my insight and sensory processing can easily detect biophotonic activity in your body. It's just that you haven't considered this being a window into the internal matrix of the body so solidly as you would look outside the window and see a mountainscape, a beautiful garden or a lake outside your window, or when you look outside your window, you can trust, as you're looking through the glass, that what you're seeing outside is an actual reality. Just because you go up to the glass and you can't get through it, but you can see through it. You can see through it, and you know that what's on the other side of that glass is actual reality. And then we could use, which I'm talking about today, a window. Your eyes become a window into the internal matrix of the people that is around you, that are around you. And your eyes, whether you are aware of this or not, is this way. And your eyes have been picking up energy from auras and auric. And we're going to talk about what is this, so that you can start to see this more by consciously identifying what you're seeing. So far, are you with me? Yes? And don't be afraid to ask a question, even the simplest question, because someone's sitting amongst us and they could be also, and quite a few people sometimes, be thinking something. So please make sure that if there is a question that you can stop me and ask me. Okay. So for me to recap, energy goes beyond the cell membrane. Energy going beyond the cell membrane that's not meant to be there can be read out long before it actually changes the surface membranes of our cells. Early detection requires that you and I put to use this very sense that we have, and we're going to begin to kind of tie this in more, that you actually do this. And the primary thing that I'm having you move through... Okay, it's so amazing that we can make those tape changes and we don't miss a beat. It's incredible, you know? Just so that you are catching everything here today. And at this point, it's possible, I'm just going to play just a tiny little bit of food, and then maybe we might just sort of stand up and shake ourselves around in a second here, just a little bit, just to get our energy again, to be able to remain still with us. Yeah. So let's just stand up just a little bit and move around just a tiny little bit. You know, let's just take a minute or so, and if you like, actually, just to be able to even to walk, to come out, to come in, to connect with somebody. Let's just take a 2-3 minute break, and then we're going to be coming back, okay? Because I really care very much that we are all ready to receive everything. Yeah. So let's move around a little bit. You can open up the door a little bit, and actually, can we open up a window and let some fresh air in for a second? Yeah, open up that. If anybody needs to quickly have a quick toilet break, I'm going to begin again in just a moment. Okay, I know for our listeners listening to the tape, we had a small rest, but you guys listening to the tape, you didn't get a small rest. But maybe you need to take a small rest, you know. But we all took a small rest. Actually, our attention span's only 20 minutes generally, and you know, gee, anybody goes past that, that's not being caring about us. Okay. So now let's describe something which most other people have never described before, which is the truth, which as you do understand this, then you're going to have a greater, deeper wisdom. And it's so very important, because if your brains can get lined up today, they will be lined up forever. And I won't have to do anything more. And this, honestly, will really be sort of causing you to be, ooh, you know, have an awareness, right? Okay. So now, first of all, can we close those just to keep keep the temperature? Okay, we can open up again a little bit, but temperature's dropping down in the room. I would keep it relatively fresh, but not cold, not so cold. But now let's see. Does a yeast exist by itself anywhere? Does a bacteria exist by itself anywhere?
No.
Does a mold exist by itself anywhere? Wow. Is there anything that actually exists by itself anywhere? That's right, no. It's like, oh. Well, you mean a bacteria doesn't just exist by itself? No, it doesn't. Oh. If we've got squatters in the building, could they be there if the building wasn't there? No. Oh, wow. You mean to say we've been attacking the squatters and going after the squatters, but we've not thought that actually it's the building that these troublemakers are in. And it's the building itself. The building is an attractive nuisance. It's like you have a swimming pool and you're supposed to keep the gate closed, very important, has to have a fence around it, very important, because that's a condition which could ordinarily be, if the gate was open, it's called an attractive nuisance in the law. Yes, in liability. In liability, that's called an attractive nuisance. So when you leave the gate open, you've got an attractive nuisance there. When you have buildings and condominiums that are all collapsed and dilapidated and everything and are there, is that not the place that possibly undesirable element could be taking advantage of perhaps? I mean, there might not be, but they could, couldn't they? And the squatting that's existing is happening more as a result of abandoned, collapse, not taken care of, fire, unsafe circumstance of somebody's living, squatting, and matter of fact, you know, lots of things that's going on there, and it's really not a healthy condition at all. But we couldn't be just sort of taking people always out of the building for being there, because people could still go into the building. I want you to know that mold, fungus and yeast and all these organisms and things which end up kind of being more in the body, they do not exist in a vacuum, and they do not exist without their condominiums, their condominium. and their condominium is called a... Yeah, their condominium, that's right, it's called gallstone. Their condominium is a biofilm. Write this down, please. Please, it's very important. Biofilm. Now, no other physicians, no other persons here at the show is giving this insight, and now you're all going to be the very first people. You've got to tell other people about this insight because they've missed it. They've gone to something else, but they missed this very, very important piece of information which you could tell them, and then they won't miss it, will they? But it is very important that you could be vigilant to let people know about this. Okay, so now what is the word that you wrote down? It's called? Okay, a biofilm. Without any investigation, without any study, without being a cytologist or a microscopist, what do you imagine a biofilm is?
A film around the cell.
Film, yes. A film, life, like a tattoo, yes. The slime, oh, now we're getting onto it. Huh? Plaque, yes. Now we're getting onto it. Because actually, how does the bird make a nest for its eggs? Does it make it out of its own substance or does it collect that? And then what do? How do we make our houses? Do we make it out of stuff that's just we produce ourselves, or do we have to collect it? We collect it, put it in. How do the bees make homes for themselves? They collect it? Yeah. And then what about the spores that travel through a tree? Do they have a home? Yes. Everything has a home. And not a single bacteria, mold or fungus or yeast ever exists by itself. Absolutely untrue. When antibiotics and all these sort of things have treated a condition as if it's just some local sort of thing, and they get a culture and they say, we're going to go after that. Oh my God, help us, well, so dumb. It's so unscientific. It's completely unscientific, okay? Why? The reason why is because you have a biofilm in your body, and only upon the biofilm in your body existing can anything else exist. It cannot exist beyond the biofilm. It only exists as a result of the biofilm. Any change in the biofilm changes the organisms. Any change in the housing, any change in the condominiums, any change in the air conditioning, any change in the amount of lighting, any change in the access in and out, any change in being able to get rid of waste, any change in the quality of the furnishing and the dampness or the dryness. You know, gee, there's so many things. This is the environment. And this environment has a physical substrate that you can see, and this physical substrate has an electrical substrate which can be observed and sensed, and this is called a biofilm. When algae starts to grow where water is, little by little you see, somebody puts their hand up, they say slime. Yeah, you see a slime. Where you see algae, you're going to see a slime. And what is that slime? It's a biofilm. What is that biofilm? It is a sugar protein complex. It's a sugar protein complex. It's a glycoprotein. And this sugar protein complex, this glycoprotein comes from dairy, comes from beans, comes from grains, sprouted beans, comes from all non-live food items. Raw food, living food is non-live food. Most all raw food, living food is non-live food, because you've got people going, what's that? Well, isn't banana okay? Gee, I'm sprouting these beans, isn't that all right? I know I've got gas and I'm overweight, and even if I'm eating live food, actually, I'm not healing up. Yeah, no, you're not, because you've got a biofilm, you've got a debris within your body, and that has to be changed and has to be cleared up. Rudy?
Excellence. Is there a biofilm, and where does that come from?
Okay, the biofilm, thank you. Great question at this point, at this juncture. That biofilm which changes what you observe and can see, and is the evidence and what is causing visually the things for you that you could see has changed about the person's aura. Ask the question again, Lukey.
Somebody who is in perfect health and still has a biofilm? And
Right,
where does
correct. A healthy person has a healthy biofilm, and an unhealthy person has an unhealthy biofilm. What is in the unhealthy person's biofilm? Canadian wheat, gluten. Write this down, thank you very much. Gluten, gliadins, glutenin, casein. They are the 4 major opiates which human beings are addicted to. That happens to be the primary substances which they find in the body if you're eating flesh, because the animals that eat flesh are fed those foods.
Could you repeat those 4 again?
Okay, gluten, you've heard of that one, because that's like in wheat.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, that one. That's a common one. Gluten. Everybody talks about gluten tolerance, gluten intolerant. It's called gluten tolerant, meaning that you're tolerant of the toxin, or gluten intolerant. That means you're not tolerant of the toxin. Gluten is a toxin. You say, oh, it's okay, you're gluten tolerant. It's like, that's not okay. You have a tolerance to a certain amount of lead, so it's okay for you. Now, this person, they really don't have a tolerance for lead at all. That's going to make them crazy. But I see that I've given you lead and you're not having any reaction, so hey, you can have lead. It's called lead tolerant. Lead tolerant versus lead intolerant. It's very weird and illogical, and in immunity they're so winging it, I tell you. They're all huffed and puffed up, but it's so wrong. They talk about antibodies being there and not being there. It's so stupid. They're so dumb. Honest to God. I have, honest to God, not read a research report from any of these people that was accurate or logical. Wow. I don't think that's sad to be sad, but the fact of the matter is the truth, that I have never read any research by any of these people that is right. It is so wrong. And so wrong. So when somebody gets up and Harvard this and Harvard that, I go, I want to do a technic-coloured yawn on what you're saying, because it doesn't impress me one little bit. You're Harvard this and you're Harvard that, okay? It really doesn't. Or you're 50-something years of having done this and 50-something years have done that and 50-something years have done this. That's not logical to me, because it doesn't say, how come you don't know about private hormone? You need to know about private hormone, every person here, because you're not going to have a proper aura unless you have your understanding of private hormone and the effect of this. So learn about it. You can only have proper nutrition inside your cell if you can learn the value of parotid hormone. Please write that down and make it your business. Parotoid, P-A-R-O-T-O-I-D, parotoid. Hormone comes from your saliva. That's why lots of these pills, lotions, potions, pills and powders in this market here are fraudulent. They're fraudulent because the people who are behind it have never ever studied a day of nutrition in their life, and they don't even know what the value of private hormone is in your saliva. So they make pills, you just swallow solid. They put something in water, it's already wet, it's not going to be wet with saliva anymore. It's so unnatural. It's not natural.
How do you get that?
Hmm?
How do you get that?
How do you get what? You chew food, you use saliva, and you use this to masticate things as you can. And if it already is masticated because it's blended, you still masticate. You have to. You can't do anything without chewing. You don't drink a single thing without chewing, and you never chew anything that you don't drink. You chew everything you drink and drink everything you chew. Okay? Okay? Chew everything you drink and drink everything you chew. So you're drinking everything. You're supposed to drink. You're not supposed to swallow solid food. We've got lots of people in the show and they say, here, take these capsules, the stupid idiots. How's it going to get saliva? How's it going to get pre-illness? Dumbass. Honest to God, I have to say that. Sorry if you're listening to the tape. But it's annoying to me because these people think that they're, oh, I've got the white lab coat, and I've got Harvard.
And I'm from Harvard, and we've been there for 55 years, thank you very much, and got lots of money. We've done these studies. Such nominalizing, unspecified verbs, missing referential indexes, complex equivalence, semantic ill-formedness, irrational, and lack of cause and effect in their language. It's so atrocious. It's like, God help us, I'm in the kindergartens, you know, or it's worse than that even.
So how does that affect, you know, like I do take food source of supplements? I don't chew that.
Stupid. I've never said that. I've never said that. You've been here for years, Audrey. You've been here for years and years and years and years, and I have always said to you, do those people are dumb for making it like that. You have to chew it up, and you only can have the benefit if you chew those up. You'll be swallowing that. That could be responsible for a really poor condition of itself. Extremely. Extremely. You have not got any benefit, and you've just peeing your money away and shitting it out. You have been. It's cost a fortune, and you're not getting any benefit.
I wouldn't really want to
Stop eating that. Intuitively, it's wrong. Okay, next.
So, for example, with something like MSM pills, would it make sense, instead of chewing them, if you just pulverize them and added them to water?
No.
You have to chew.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a glass in nature. Have you seen a monkey put things in glass and stir it up and drink it down? What about a cow? Well, then who does this? Only a human being? Is a fork natural? No. Is a bowl natural? No, not really. It's like microwave energy, or aluminum, or radioactivity, you know, or television, or this carrier piggyback frequency wave that's now on all the cell phones. Extremely destructive to life. We cannot exist, and it's very alarming.
So how would you take a powder, for example?
Mix it with saliva. Only wet it with saliva as you can, all right?
So not in water, just in your, directly into your mouth?
If you wet something, I'm going to ask you right now, you've got a sponge and you wet it, can you wet it more?
So does that even
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
You have a sponge and it's really sopping wet. Can you wet it more?
No, it can
No.
be fully absorbed, I understand.
Can you really? Do you know this? Do you know that when you have brought in, or I brought in a food and it was already wet, is it going to get wet now with the actual substance it's supposed to get wet with? No. No, it won't. And that is called dis-ease. That is called dis-ease. And every single person in this show, just about, and all the other professional people, they have no idea that things are meant to be chewed. And they got all things in bottles and pills and stuff like that. Isn't that amazing that someone knew about MSM and all they were concerned, honest to God, with was their fat wallet, or their thin wallet. But all they're concerned about is their wallet. So much so that they'll want to shut me out because I'm saying, hey, wait a minute, why don't you look at that? No, I can't look at that. It's like, oh yeah, but you've got this in a bottle and you've got still besterol in there. That's bad. That's worse. That's 10,000 years. It wouldn't take 10,000 years to break that stuff down. That thing had blue plastic. So why have you got that there? Don't put the product into that. Don't. Hey, wait a minute. Don't give that to my baby. I'm thinking about reproduction forever. You're going to kill that child. You're going to kill all the people that come out. It's like, whoa! Don't put that in that bottle. It's wrong. And I can taste plastic in the product. I can really taste plastic in the product. Is that okay? No, it's not. It really is not. Please. The Romans were drinking out of lead. And they thought that was okay. Did you know that? The average age was only 23. You only lived to the age of 23. Why? Because you were drinking out of lead. It was easy. It was easy to make cups out of. And it was easy to make drains out of and everything, you know. So easy, you could just like hammer it together and it's nice, you know, waterproof, everything. But we were drinking out of lead cups and dying like flies, and we're drinking out of aluminum cans and we're dying like flies too. And we're eating bakery product, which is extremely poisonous, seriously poisonous. And unless it's combined with protein hormone, it's not going to go anywhere, okay? It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be toxic, all right? And it's not going to be wet after that point, okay? If your liver is sopping wet, for instance, you know, all the good fuel and superfoods and all this stupid stuff which is to do with selling, honest to God, but not to do with health. It's just to do with the hype of selling. And everybody wants to talk about the hype of selling because they want to get on with getting more money in their bank, and you guys are out the door and see you later. Okay.
I think you got cut short. You were going to mention those 4 different opiate compounds.
Okay, thank you so much. Gluten, gliadin, gliadin,
How do you spell that?
gliadin, G-L-I-A-D-I-N, gliadin, or E-N I think it could be, actually. Yeah, gliadin. Gliadins, they come from grains and beans primarily, and sometimes nuts. You've got glutenin, which is similar to gluten. It's just a little bit different, but you get that in all array of other sort of cereal crops, which are starchy, like the corn and the oats and barley and things, and you get gliadins in those as well. So we've got 3 so far. We've got gluten, gliadin, and glutenin. The other major one that's in the world is what? Casein, yeah. Casein from milk, right? And it is a fact, it is a substantiated fact that there is more than 220,000 premature deaths, and those premature deaths every 2 months in the United States is related to having eaten grains and dairy. So now those grains and dairy, I'm just wrapping it up here to come to this point, causes a biofilm to exist in your body. You cannot get rid of mold, fungus and yeast unless you change the biofilm. Only upon changing the biofilm can we actually change mold, fungus and yeast. To change the biofilm, you've actually got to scrub the body, and you've got to kind of stop the stuff that's causing that biofilm to exist. If you continue on and you go, oh, we'll attack this and I'll just have some oxygen therapy, or I'll drop this product in, you know, or I'll stop eating fruit or something like that, it's not going to work. It won't work. It will not work. Okay? It's frustrating for people because they're going around and they're saying, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, and I can't eat, which is the partial truth. But not eating that and not eating that at all, not being able to eat certain things is not the answer. The answer will be rest, get rid of your bile stones, reduce the inflammation here and start to work properly. Okay, now we're going to start to talk more about auras. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2 things. You just mentioned rest. How many hours of sleep do you recommend per night if your body is in like kind of a perfect state like yours is?
We're designed through eons of natural cycle, and our natural cycle has been to get at least 8 hours of rest. The reason why that is so is because on average there is about 8 hours of time in a 24-hour cycle where, you know, you can't sort of really see much, but on the borders of that we start to sort of vaguely be able to see in the half light of the dawn in the morning as the light comes on again, you know, and then of course as the sun disappears, gone beyond the horizon in the evening, we still have light for 2 hours or more, and eventually it falls more dark. We all evolved without electric lighting and artificial light, you see, but artificial light has caused us to really be living a life which can be beyond what is the natural cycle. Our natural cycle is to rest, be awake during the waking hours more, and light and rest more at night. We should not be really eating at night, and that's not good, okay? Okay, so why is it, we're going to come to the aura now, starting to come more into the aura. Why is it that between 4 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning, typically on a Monday too, that's the most popular time to die?
Right.
Yeah, something, that's right. But what is it, what's the reason why actually it always is on a Monday and not a Tuesday or Wednesday? And generally not on a Friday ever, except for really, really depressed people. Thank you. That's right. Do you have Plan A and Plan B? And Plan B. Because Plan A is great, but gee, we've all got to be able to think beyond the box where we are and really be thinking outside of the box. The reason for our having perished typically on Monday morning and not Tuesday or Wednesday is as the intelligence in the room has stated. That's the time most people go to work, and they're really miffed about going to work, and they don't want to go to work and things, and that's a pattern of their life. So in the Western Bloc world, the most common time to die is on Monday. But why is it in the morning, like between 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock? Why not like at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock? Why between the hours of 4 and 10? Well, that actually happens to be the primary time that persons have slept and woken, perhaps, or not. But at 4 o'clock, generally, that's about the time of the evening and you're sleeping where you could have begun to other than nose breathe in your sleep. And the moment you began going, and then started cutting wood, and then you'd be again, and then there was a chainsaw right next to you. Or in the next room was, all mouth breathing, which anybody you know who snores, that's bad. They've got mouth breathing, and they're going to die. Whoa, this is really not a good thing. You don't need to auto read there. You could just be listening through the walls. That's your auto reading there, I can tell you. So the reason for that is because the person would have breathed off their carbon dioxide, and when they breathed off their carbon dioxide, they no longer are able to keep their electromagnetic force. So now, where are we? Who's taking notes?
Snoring and mouth breathing.
And so what we just said is that as you breathe more rapidly than you should, did you know that most people are overbreathers in the world today? Did you know that most people are overbreathing about the volume of an Olympic swimming pool? Overbreathing. Did you know that if you overbreathe about the volume of an Olympic swimming pool more than you should, did you know that you lost the carbon dioxide? Did you know that carbon is the primary substance, supposed to be 7% of your inner cell, and unless you have carbon in there, at 7% of your cell, you do not have the ability magnetically to hold a magnetic charge, and you only have the ability to hold a magnetic charge as you have this magnetic property, and that at night you can have overbreathed, and when people are anxious they can have overbreathed, and it is just so amazing that when somebody's anxious or they're overbreathing, I can look at your blood and I can just totally tell straight away. What do they call people who are overbreathing and anxious? They call that person is something as a ghost. White as a ghost. White as a ghost. And that's what happens to your blood too. Did you know that when you, no matter how robust your skin could be and gorgeous pigmented your skin, matter of fact, did you know that when light no longer remains in your body, you start to look more white? Did you know that? Did you know we have skin colour change and things as a result of the earth having stood still for some period of time, and only people who survived in the sunlight were able to adjust their skin, and those people who didn't survive on the other side, they perished because they lost all their pigment utterly, and it was only basically people that were able to survive within the fringes of this that survived. See, no one honestly in the show here even knows the history of the earth more than I do. No one, honest to God, knows that actually dinosaurs and human beings lived together, which they did. But that's another story. But I just want you to know that people are going around with absolutely fallacious ideas of nutrition and science and health, foisting themselves off like those other panelists did the other day, thinking and wanting you to perhaps have an awareness that maybe they have some knowledge which they don't, and avoiding the places that I would ask a question and not even bothering to answer it. Which, what is the benefit of product hormone? The benefit of product hormone, of course, is this little packets of DNA and RNA that unless that's combined with any substrate material you ate, it's not going to be, and it never will be after that. And it's not going to really get anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to defecate it out. Just like Audrey, she's spent close to $400,000 over the years on nutritive supplements and things, and she really hasn't received the benefit of much because she's been swallowing stuff and things and wetting it and mixing it up in water and all sorts of things, and hasn't learned yet what is natural. We've come to this place many years, and Audrey, I would say, is like a very serious student, assisting people help heal themselves and things, and today we're learning of the importance of product hormone. That is very, very important. Unless little packets of DNA and RNA are complex with that material, if it's wet with something else, it's no longer going to be wet with this. It's going to miss the bus. It's going to have missed the bus. Okay? You have to wait on the platform or wait at the bus station for the next bus to come, because like running after the bus is not going to help. Okay, so let's get back to Aura. How much time left do you have? Yeah. Now, let's get into Aura. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But supplements are, most supplements on the market are very poisonous. They're isolates. They've been processed, and they don't have the protein colloidal chaperone at all, right? And a lot of stuff, and it really can be robbing and destabilizing things from the body. All deficiencies occur because of what you're doing, not what you haven't done. Okay. Okay, so but you've got to go and learn. These are questions which you can really have answered at the table. But right now, I really care very much for people listening and those of us here. I want you to be able to get an idea of Aura. Okay, so let's begin right now. First of all, when you can see things, we can see things literally, and you first need to pay attention to things you're seeing. This is Aura. Aura is not simply the field of energy which we do have around ourselves, which extends about 50 feet out from you. Yeah. Yes. It's like a flying saucer. And typically it's spinning to the right. Influences things you go underneath, it will slowly start to spin to the right. But occasionally it spins to the left, depending on the phase of the moon and things. And it depends where you are on the Earth, because like in this spot just there, I'm in a grid ley line, and actually the thing spins to the left exactly here, but moves there, and then energy spinning okay. So there's a ley line grid right there, you see. But you could go around the room and feel where this is, you could tell, and then we could actually, if you want to see the evidence of it, you could just go check how things are spinning as waterfalls in your home, which I can easily do, and I can tell if your home's hot. Most people's homes are hot. Electrical wiring has been wired by electricians who really didn't earth things properly, and you're living in a home or an apartment which is seriously hot, and the whole field of your home from electromagnetic energy is really messed up. But the energy field around us is there, we have vortexes of energy in the room here, and as it's spinning to the right, it's healthy. If it's spinning to the left, it's not. It's very destructive, like electricity from electrical wiring, very, very destructive. So all of this has a literal colour and an energy. So first, you can tell if somebody has lost tissue around the eyes, they have lost tissue, or they have darkened circles or bags or puffiness around their eyes. That's absolute evidence that the person's kidneys are not functioning. They are not. If the eyes are looking a little sore and red and bulbous, that's absolute evidence that your brain is the same, exactly the same. Because the brain, the eyes are your brain. That's outside tissue, that is nerve tissue. So you're looking at quality of your brain, basically. where inflammation exists in the sclera of the eyes and things, that is absolute evidence of inflammation right throughout the whole of the body and the blood vessels and everything. When you're looking at the eyes of a person, you're looking at their kidney force, and if it's healthy, it means that food passed through the small intestine and didn't displace the kidney plexus. But if you've got food in the intestine at night, which you should not have, then your kidneys are not filtering blood at all, and they cannot. And when you defecate, food has not emptied out of the intestinal tract, and there is no rest. There's no rest. The intestinal tract has to rest. When did it get a rest? Oh my God, it never rested. It's like, whoa, you spent 40 years and it never had a rest? It's like, whoa, that's not good. You spent 50 years and it never had a rest? It's like, whoa, that's not good. You spent 60 years and it never had a rest? It's like, whoa, that's not good. That's relentless. You've got to have a rest. When somebody has gone on vacation and vacated themselves for a short period of time, they come back and they feel like really brand new more. And when you do look at this person, you can see that they have more light, and literally there is more light in their blood, and there literally is more light in their body. But when you're stressed and you ate food which robbed that, you actually urinated away your light. Yeah, you pee it away. Yeah, you do. You pee it away and you breathe it off. We primarily breathe our light off and urinate it away. And there's a lot of light in the breath at night. And if you haven't eaten things properly during the day, then you will be breathing light off during the night. And by the time the morning comes round, as we look at blood, it can be really a skeleton in comparison. It doesn't have its full aura around itself, you see. Now, shininess of your skin and porcelainness of an energy coming off. Can you imagine right now in your mind's eye, you look at the skin of someone who has the baby skin still and has like a porcelainness to their skin? You can see energy coming off granularly wise of a fineness of porcelain, like a very beautiful, what do you call that cracked glaze? Raku? Is it raku? Yeah, I think it is. But it's so fine, that porcelain. Yeah, porcelain glaze on pottery can cause it to have an enormously fine, very, very fine energy field given off. Whereas if it's made just a very coarse clay, it's much coarser. And the difference is quite remarkably different. That coming off a baby and youthful skin is more porcelain and smooth, and the energy coming off tissue and connective tissue and things which is not held its integrity is more granular in comparison. Much, much more granular. Much more granular. You can look anywhere at the person's body, feel through their clothes and everything. You can see this. You can trust that you can see the energy of this. To be able to get into this state of being more, you have to have affection. You have to feel affection, like this is my baby that I'm in love with, and I will give you my life. And I am giving you my life as I'm in front of you, and you are in front of me. You become simply, all I know is I'm in the presence of God. That's all. Not anything else. And as you are aware that you're in the presence of God, not anything else, your body eyes opened up. You could see through people's clothes. You could see their heart slipping in the pericardium sac, frictionlessly. You can look and see what's going on in the person's bile bladder. If they have debris there, you can look down into the intestinal tract. You can look at the arteries, of the carotid arteries and things of a person's head, and you can see debris in every orifice and every place of the body. I can cast my mind to you walking over the earth somewhere, and where you walk, I can have a feeling, and I can tell you where water is. You can give me a map of your home, and I can take that map of your home, and I can use a pendulum, and I could tell you where the ley lines are of water and if there's room or place in your home which is not good. You see, you and I, we have the ability to do this, but you and I have only thought in terms of concreteness in our cognitive development, and as children we were all taught counting before we should have been. We were all taught visual sort of written words and things before we should have, and that caused a compartmentalization of the brain. If you grew up without any of that, you just naturally would be able to be trusting of the things that you are seeing and communicating the things that you do see. Long before anything physical has occurred, you could look and see prostate, breast, heart, cardiovascular system, kidneys, lungs, brain, carotid arteries, blood cells, and you can see the evidence of this in the aura, and you can see the evidence of this in the auric field. If you could see a picture of the Secrets of an Alkaline Body cover, you could look at that cover of the Secrets of an Alkaline Body book, and on that there's an apple on the cover. And on the cover is the apple, and one side of the apple is not as large as the other. On the side of the apple, this apple's been cut in half, and you can see a Kirlian photograph of the expression of the life force, and what we're seeing there is simply how this life force has shaped the electromagnetic energy that's given off in the pattern. We can see that the healthy side of the apple is containing its energy gorgeously, and there's beautiful bursts of white light all the way round the very edge of the skin of that one side of the apple. And now on the other side of the apple, that half of the apple is very small. It's only half the size. It purposely chose this because it's possible to observe visually and see things in the aura of that apple and get to understand more of your own aura. You could look and see that inside of the apple, where it's smaller and it's not as robust, the energy is spilled beyond the surface of the skin of the apple. Whereas on the other side, which is healthy, the aura is perfectly connected to the skin of the apple. The other side of the apple, there's a big burst of red light, and that's infrared, and that's the energy which is transmitting and moving out from the apple, so it's sort of energy leaving the apple. And you can see that there, in the side of the apple, which really doesn't have its good vibrance at all, there's a poof, a burst of red light, sort of, that's held in space, which is present there in this apple. Down at the bottom of the apple on that side, you can see little breaks in the electric field, and right there, there's little dark, very, very dark holes, and then sheaths and flares of light. And so you have electrical sort of disturbance, you have gravitational magnetic fields in those dark spots. What's present there is like a worm or a bird came and ate a bit of its apple there, you know, and it had a bit of an injury, and it sort of sealed itself up there, and it had a worm in there, and it filled itself up there, you see, but its energy wasn't quite as vibrant as what it could be, and the energy field there, there's a big black sort of a darker area where electromagnetic energy and light isn't present as much. As far as electromagnetic energy is concerned, there's a magnetic deposit, serious magnetic deposit present in that component of the apple, and it's affecting the whole aura of the apple. At night, around between 4 and 10 o'clock in the morning, a big tear occurs around your bile bladder that can be witnessed. And also, when, of course, just as we do die, burst of light is emitted from us when we die. We have an enormous burst of radiation, actually, and that's actually what occurs at night, at some points in the morning, after over-breathing, there's an enormous boof, and there's a lot of a release of light from your body. It's like the light has escaped like a corona discharge off your body, and as a result of that then it's left in a state more ghost-like. When we look at the blood, it's clumped in the morning. The blood cells are very sort of like, ghost-like, really don't have their halo. But if we do this to the person, and we quieten their breath down, after a short period of time we could look at their blood, and their blood has again got bit back more of its actual aura and its vibrance. It's so directly correlated that when somebody does look tired, they are tired. When someone really has very little eyelid reflex left, the eyelid has lost its reflex, or the eye is actually rotated, and you've got sanpaku where there's a white underneath of the eye showing stress, where moisture content actually of the eye itself is less than present like it really should be, and light is less than coming off the person's aura as it should be. There's absolute little evidence of conditions in, and that is as bad as waiting. It's worse. Of course, waiting for 10, 15 years for something finally to go, oh yeah, well now I've got this sort of something here. But long before you had this, oh, I've got this something here, you had the evidence of things well and truly present in your visual field, even before you could feel things. Energetically, of course, we could feel things often long before they could be seen necessarily. We can feel things, and this is a voice. This is a voice to say, please, wait a minute, we need to do something. Now, I went for a walk in this forest, and all that was standing round was tall. And I've called out into this forest. And I've called out, but no voice returned. This is the last voice of this ancient forest. And all we can see is this forest. No more. How can you buy fresh air? How can you buy fresh water? Whatever we do to the forest, whatever we do to the beast, we do to ourselves. If there could be a minute of silence anywhere, it should really be for the tragedy that's occurring on the earth, that people would sit and have done nothing and have said nothing, but have only put things together to actually vilify another person, but not have put anything forward to actually assist us. This biofilm exists between the cells and exists throughout the cell, and it's this biofilm that needs to change. You can't change that if you continue on with the strange undigestible protein. Not possible. As you do care very much about the friends and your family and loved ones, and you care very much to observe, infrared is an energy which is moving out from the person. Ultraviolet light is an energy coming toward you. Ultraviolet is the fastest spinning light, and red is the slowest. We have red down at the very base of our spine, and energetics that's sensual causes spilling over of that energy, like the red in that aura of the apple, and it causes a slight boof, bursting over, which there could be a reason for that, just like the peacock's feathers and the flowers is a testimony to this energy in nature, this is the most powerful energy in nature, our care to reproduce and this sort of a thing. And so that when there's sensual energy or an energy of something having to care for itself, because it's had to go beyond itself, there's literally often a burst of energy more, and more red energy, and more energy being emitted more externally and out. Where somebody's withdrawn and quiet, you will see they become more white. They become more light. They actually lose their colour. And we even say, oh, that person's, the colour of fear is white. Correct. The colour of fear is white. We would say that somebody was white like a sheep, and the meaning of that is that they were fearful. And the colour is literal. Hot-headedness is more what colour? Red. Red is hot. And when somebody is cool, their colour is blue. And blue is the finest vibration. Ultraviolet. So as a person in the morning, as you do have this energy, you will see there's enormous ultraviolet light over the skin of the earth. When I wake up in the morning and I see the dew, is an enormous purple covering over the landscape, which slowly disappears. But it's there for 2 or 3 hours, and it's like a vapour being emitted over the covering of everything, which is like you're on LSD, which is the truth. Literally, that in the morning, it's such enormous ultraviolet light covering things, and as you can see this, you could be aware what is the reason for this. The reason for this is the dew, and that dew is no ordinary water. It happens to be deuterium oxide influenced and more isotopes of hydrogen in that water. It's a heavy water. It's called deuterium oxide influenced water, and that's the dew. And this dew causes your body and things in the morning to have a very thin film of a skin of an ultraviolet light. That we're all supposed to have this, and I can see through layers of yourself whether you have this or not. Where you have remained hydrated in your skin, you generally have a slight amount of this purple colour covering your skin, which is the first sort of layer there that you can see around the aura. Of course then this, depending on the influence of things, for instance, if as a person is more on a level of their heart, and they are sort of a feeling of a love, and that's accelerated, there's generally a feeling of a balance, of course, of being, because green is the center of the rainbow. Green is in the middle, and green happens to be more around the heart area, and as persons are sort of more in love, more green pigment energetically is being emitted, and frequencies are being more emitted in the mid-range, and that's sort of more a heart range, a heart level range. Now orange and red can come more into an aura. The more sensual somebody feels, generally the more orange and red would come more into the aura. The more spiritual, the more empty you are and self-realized you are, the more purple. The more purple actually is literally in your aura. So we have an aura that's surrounding us, and this aura you can begin to see this more as a result of closing your eyes just slightly, and then what you'll do is you'll focus a little bit on the skin itself. You'll focus on the light that's coming off the person. You'll focus on the energy, and you start to feel and see things which, if I ask you right now to see a pink elephant with blue polka dots running across the grass, you have to, construct that to see it, don't you? To see a pink elephant with blue polka dots running across green grass, you construct that. And to see a tea kettle, a pink tea kettle with blue polka dots in front of us right now, a pink tea kettle, right? To put a pink tea, you're doing something in your mind to put that pink tea kettle there, aren't you? Yes. As you read your aura, something comes in there, and you have to learn to start to trust what you're seeing within your visual field. Just because it seemingly doesn't seem to have a physical that you could see like this, because you could put your hand through it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So you can relax your eyes slightly. You can cause the person to be starting to learn more of this by having a slight lighter background. And as you can see the lighter background behind, it's possible to start to be able to see the colours that are coming off a person. And you first have your focus a little on the skin colour itself and the shape, because shape and colour are related to each other in health. And so you can see shape. Now shape should really be like a flying saucer more, actually, the aura, it extends out about between 30 and 50 feet. But auras can be more like potato shaped, they can be more like big holes and flares, and the aura can be really seriously reduced and not hardly have any aura much there at all. You could look at breast or tissue and things of such, and if health is not present like it really should be, energy coming off visually, aurically, will have changed, long before the tissue can have changed. Feeling also, before you could palpate or anything, you could feel things that have changed slightly. And this is a voice, this is the early voice, and the early voice is saying, we're doing something which is a body ailment newly brought in, and we must stop that body ailment newly brought in. All disease is a body ailment newly brought in. All disease is a body ailment newly brought in relentlessly without having had a rest. When we quieten our breath down, we breathe through the nose, we lengthen the inspiration through our nose, we relax our shoulders, relax our heart. Thanks, man. Relax our shoulders, relax our heart. There's a synchronization of both of your hemispheres of your brain, and your brain, both the left and the right hemisphere, start to synchronize and cycle together. And as they cycle together like this, there's a greater amplitude of electricity. Poof! Poof, you see. But if one brain is firing a little bit and the other is sort of firing like that, and the two are not quite, hemispheres not quite together, there's a lower amplitude of electricity, there is a lower strength of current, electric current in your body. Literally, Candida cannot exist about a foot away from the energy field of a person who's healthy. Candida can't quite survive in the spin of electrical field of a healthy body. It finds it tough to exist. It only can exist in a body which doesn't have that proper energy field spin. But beyond the fingertips of a healthy person, Candida albicans wants to change. It can't exist in that energy field. And there's evidence to show this is the fact of the matter. Sometimes I've taken a glass of water to teach people more, and had you observe the glass of water and go into like a light trance where you can't see where your visual perception begins or finishes, because you're not really focusing. And this is the peripheral brain that you need to access. It's not a focalized vision. Focalizing is like going, and narrowing our focus like this. But this is not a focus like that at all. It's a very, very soft focus, which is the beautiful, most powerful focus to have in life. As you have a soft focus like this, most everybody that sees you with this focus, they feel attracted to you. Why? Because they feel attracted to you because literally when people are attracted to you, they're more looking through you. And you can feel this, and you feel attracted more to someone who's actually sensing your overall form and your beauty, and your being. And we just happen to be in a room full of really gorgeous, beautiful, good-looking people. And then most everybody here, I think, was at close to the front of the line when looks was handed out, Yeah. And as there's this a sense of attraction and a sense of beauty we feel on this level, we feel it because of an overallness. We never see it because we go wow in the mirror to look at something on our skin. And that focus is called narrowing, and that narrowing isn't really as you are with the person you love and this sort of a thing, and you care about this. It's the overall person's form that is really you're so in love with, And this is the whole. And the whole is so important. It's so important. The parts that make up the whole, if something is missing, many people could actually just about risk the whole to be whole, risk all the parts to be whole. We so care to be whole, and we'll go to the end of the earth to a degree to do what we can to be whole, and so rightfully so that we should. So soften your eyes, quieten, start to, in the days that's to come, more, start to feel more and come from your intuition. Start to talk about what you intuitively see. Start to talk about what is within that you see. Of course, I cannot see the unseen forces of that magnet, but I do see the effects of the magnet. Look at the effects of things that's affected the physiognomy, which is the tissue, morphological changes of the body. Look and see, and start to look and see this as a window into the internal matrix of the body, where we have energy that's light or white and no energy, that's a thyroid challenge, seriously, right? Where we have more darker energy than we should, we can have some stagnation. Where we have much lighter than it should, there's no blood supply and there is no light. So it's degrees of light and dark comparison to what your skin tone, what the skin tone is. And you're reading through the skin tone someone has naturally to look to see the health of the person. And this is a literal reading that you give off. And every person, long before stomach cancer and intestinal cancer and stuff like that exists, in the aura, you can see it around the mouth. All right? Okay. We've gone way past it, and we've been asked to stop. We've got people that... Look, love you guys. Thank you so much for coming out of there. Please come down, to Jubb Longevity. Come to the table. And I do let you know that we have a very amazing event on...